Tucked inside the northern reaches of the Bronx, hemmed in by forest, lake and the faded hum of Broadway, stands the Van Cortlandt House, a Georgian mansion of fieldstone and memory, built in 1748 atop land seeded with ambition, wealth, slavery and perhaps something else. Something restless. The house is the oldest surviving structure in the Bronx. Constructed from locally quarried fieldstone, the structure was both practical and imposing, a visual assertion of stability and dominance. But its roots run even deeper than its elegant rubble-stone facade lets on, back to the days of New Netherland, when the land was not yet New York. In 1646, Adriaen van der Donck, a Dutch lawyer, naturalist and political agitator, was granted a sprawling estate by the Dutch West India Company. Named Donck, the estate stretched across what is now the Bronx and Yonkers. He built a gristmill and sawmill along the Sac Kill, now the Sawmill River, part of a plan to process timber and wheat not only from his lands but from nearby farms as well. He agitated for more local representation in New Netherland, writing a stirring treatise that argued for civic liberties, trade reform and tolerance. He was brilliant, he was inconvenient, he was dangerous, and in 1655 he disappeared. According to Russell Shorto's island at the centre of the world, van der Donck may have met his end during a brutal native raid, perhaps even on the grounds of the estate he built. There is no gravestone, no monument, just a faint depression into the land where he wrote his Remonstrance and his description of New Netherland, one of the earliest known primary sources of the New World ever written. By the 1690s, the land had passed to the Van Cortlandt family, established merchants, landowners and political operators. In 1748, Frederick van Cortlandt began construction on the stately Georgian manor we see today. The house, completed just before his death, was perched near the old mill pond created by damming Tibbetts Brook, an echo of van der Donck's original engineering vision. The Van Cortlandts were no ordinary colonial family. Originally of Dutch origin, they were part of the wealthy merchant elite that helped turn the port of New Amsterdam into the economic powerhouse we now call New York City. By the late 17th century, Olaf van Cortlandt, a former city treasurer under Dutch rule, had amassed a vast estate that stretched across today's Bronx and into the lower Hudson Valley. In the mid-18th century, Frederick van Cortlandt, Olaf's grandson, commissioned the construction of a family manor in the northwestern part of the estate. The house was completed in 1749, just before Frederick's death, and became the centrepiece of a working plantation powered by enslaved labour and industrial ambition. The estate's strategic location, near the Tibbetts Brook, a tributary of the Harlem River, allowed for the creation of mills and easy transport of grain and lumber. But this was not just a domestic residence. It became an important base during the American Revolution. When George Washington and the Continental Army moved through the Bronx in the wake of the British victory in Manhattan, the Van Cortlandt House's location made it an ideal field headquarters. Perched near the Albany Post Road, flanked by the Hudson and Bronx rivers, it commanded both strategic views and vital supply lines. Washington's brief stay here turned the manor into a nerve centre for Patriot operations in the region. From its upper floors, he could scan the surrounding fields for British movements, while the estate's meadows offered encampment space for troops. Tibbetts Brook and the estate's mills provided fresh water and grain, crucial resources for an army on the move. In 1776, with the British poised to occupy Manhattan, Augustus Van Cortlandt, the last clerk of the city of New York under British colonial rule, found himself in an especially precarious position. As the custodian of the city's official records, deeds, contracts, legal documents, he held the keys to the legal and financial history of New York. If those records fell into enemy hands, decades of property rights and business arrangements could be wiped away or manipulated. Augustus made a fateful decision. He secretly removed the city's records and hid them deep in the Van Cortlandt estate. His actions safeguarded New York's legal continuity during one of its most chaotic chapters. The Van Cortlandts were part of the colonial elite, descendants of Dutch merchants and landowners who thrived under both Dutch and English rule. They married strategically into other prominent families like the Schuylers, Jays and Beekmans, cementing their influence. Their fortune was built on land, trade and, like much of colonial wealth, enslaved labour. The estate operated as a working plantation. Enslaved men and women tended crops, cared for livestock, and worked the grist mill that processed grain into flour for sale in New York and beyond. The house, now turned into a museum, has staged period furnishings and costumes, allowing you to glimpse daily life in the colonial era. Step inside and you are greeted by the Georgian symmetry from the moment you cross the threshold. A wide central hallway flanked by rooms of equal proportion, each anchored by massive hearths that once provided the home's only heat. To the right is the formal parlour, a space designed to impress visitors. Tall sash windows flood the room with light, falling across polished wood floors, worn smooth by generations. To the left, the dining room with its heavy mahogany table set for an 18th century meal, pewter plates, Delftware pitchers and tall brass candlesticks. The grand staircase, its banister polished to a deep patina, leads upward to the private chambers. Here the floors creak with every step, from the honest aging of oak planks that have borne the weight of countless feet. The bedrooms are modest by modern standards, but elegant in their restraint. 4-poster beds draped in linen. In one, a small writing desk looks out over the fields, its inkwell and quill poised as though the writer has just stepped away. Tucked away in the attic and rear quarters are the rooms once occupied by the enslaved workers who kept the household running. Stark, narrow spaces with crudely built bunks and simple bedding, still preserved in the house today, stand as stark reminders of the human cost behind the Van Cortlandt prosperity. Period costumes and artifacts inside bring this reality into sharp focus. This chilling announcement was issued by Philip Van Cortlandt in 1801 regarding the escape of an enslaved man named Andrew Saxon. The language, clinical, descriptive and transactional. This document survives as one of the few named references to the enslaved individuals who laboured under the Van Cortlandts. It will remain here without embellishment as a testament to the truth this house preserves. In 1888, the city of New York acquired the Van Cortlandt estate, transforming it into what is now Van Cortlandt Park, encompassing over 1,000 acres of forests, wetlands and meadows. In 1897, the house was opened as a museum under the stewardship of the National Society of Colonial Dames, making it one of the earliest historic house museums in New York City. As the industrial age accelerated, the New York and Putnam Railroad, known as the Old Put, ran straight through the former Van Cortlandt estate. This rail line connected the Bronx to Westchester and upstate New York, ferrying passengers and goods from the city to the Hudson Highlands and beyond. The railroad operated until the mid-20th century, with service officially ending around 1958. After its decommissioning, the tracks were torn up and the corridor was reimagined for public use. Today, the Putnam Trail winds through Van Cortlandt Park, used by runners, cyclists and birdwatchers alike. It's an unbroken path through centuries, from days when the area was populated by Lenape peoples to the brief, chaotic rule of the Dutch West India Company, to the English takeover in 1664, to the battlegrounds of the Revolution. This land has been a colonial supply route, an industrial artery, and now a historic haven open to the public. The Van Cortlandt House has withstood 276 years of American history, and for just $5, visitors can walk its halls, see where General Washington once slept, and step into a world where the Dutch past, revolutionary ideals and human resilience converge. You might even feel the presence of Adriaen van der Donck, whose home once stood nearby, who dreamed of a democratic society on this very ground. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more forgotten history of the lives and monuments that still stand witness to the restless and ever-changing city. Oh, and share your thoughts.